is Kate McMahon, and thank you for joining us today for CapeWorks. On CapeWorks, we're looking at the various industries on the Cape and the impact they have not only on our economy, but those of us that live here, visit here, and have second homes. And today, I'm really excited to introduce you to our three guests, and they are wellness practitioners on the Cape. And if I can start, we've got Lauren Kunkler of Brightly Well, and she's a nutritionist here on the Cape, as well as a wellness educator. We have Mazie Hollenbaugh, who is Lifestyle Medicine Institute certified, as well as an experienced registered yoga teacher. Thanks for being here. Thanks. And then Alex Rose, who is a holistic massage therapist. Thanks so much for being here today, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that we can really share with our audience all of the exciting things that are happening in the alternative space for our health and well-being. So let's go ahead and get started. Lauren, can you share with us what is a wellness practitioner?
Well, Kate, the wellness practitioner label can be considered various different professions, anything from nutrition, massage therapy, and yoga like we have here, but also chiropractic. It can be different types of energy healing, qigong, tai chi, and any sort of healing modality that involves mindfulness, meditation, and stress management. And that could be considered an addition to other healing types like restorative yoga and injury relief and different types of therapies, even physical therapy.
Great. Now, maybe we can hit a little bit on what you mentioned on injury relief. Now, I believe you do a little bit of that with yoga, Mazie?
I do. As a yoga therapist, I may meet with you post-surgery after you're done with your physical therapist as the next phase before you're full-on training for the Ironman. And what we'll do is concentrate on the body as a whole, complete health. So giving a little extra attention to maybe your shoulder if that was what was injured, modifying your yoga for you. And for me, it's important, a little bit of practice is better than no practice at all. And you don't want anyone to feel like they're losing momentum because of an injury. And so yoga therapy customizes to the needs of the client. So
I love that.
Yeah. So
because it takes it beyond what some folks might imagine based on what they've seen on TV from decades ago, that you're actually incorporating a lot of stretching and breathing into how to continue to heal.
Right. It's a huge the healing. Everyone's nervous about surgery, for instance, as they should be, but it's after surgery. Physical therapy. Okay, check. Mm-hmm. But there's emotional, physical, physiological role that plays in your healing, and it takes time, and sometimes it can hit you pretty hard. You're not ready for that. You're ready to meet with the surgeon, you're ready to meet with the physical therapist, and then they're done with you, but you still can't pick up and run the 10K or lift the weights that you could. So you're healthy but not fine.
You need the next step.
And that's where a nice yoga therapy class or one-on-one with a therapist can connect mind and body together.
That's great.
And it's someplace where I may pull Alex in too, because if I'm working with someone and shoulders they're just easy to use as an example, but I could be doing yoga, and this person's got really tight, super tight muscle knots, and that's where I would call in Alex and say, you've got to work with me with this person because I'm plateauing, like I can't break through. And usually
Alex is a massage therapist.
Correct.
Yeah. So using that as a preventative and also for recovery post-operative is huge because the muscles hold the body together. So to be able to connect the mind-body connection that way by stress relieving, preventative care with using muscle manipulation is huge. And I think it's left out of the overall healthcare as it is, so getting that more involved is a major task.
And for me personally, talk about being relaxed. Yoga, massage, it works great. Which really takes me to the next question on who participates. Who do you see as your demographic right now in the alternate space?
Everyone should participate. Who we're seeing, for me, it really does vary, but one of my favorite classes that I teach is a hands-on kids plant-based cooking class, and I have kids in there as young as 6.
Oh, how fun.
And it just makes it a fun way to incorporate more veggies and fruits into your daily diet. It doesn't mean you're full-on plant-based home, but a little. There's always room for veggies. Yeah, exactly, right? There's always room for sweets, but there's always room for more veggies, for sure. Right. Another class that I've been teaching for Yoga Neighborhood is the veterans at the Veterans Center in Hyannis.
Wonderful.
And that's a great class. We're teaching a trauma-sensitive and adaptive yoga, or a chair yoga class. And I love that because you could have somebody who's a newly returned vet, in their 20s, or one of our longtime participants, and she's 96.
That's amazing.
Isn't that great?
That's awesome. Now, you did talk a little bit about nutrition. Mm-hmm. And Lauren, I'd love for you to chat a little bit about that, especially in this day and age, right? We've got all these different diets that are being thrown right at us. Can you tell us what nutrition really means and how that helps us feel better overall?
Yeah, it's such a good topic to talk about. And as I've worked as a nutritionist for many years, and a lot of times people not only need something helpful for a crisis situation where something's really failing them, there's an emergency, they'll come in and they need to try anything and everything they can to improve their health. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people who just don't feel great. They feel okay, they know they're tired, they don't have good digestion, they're looking at their food thinking, I just don't know what to eat anymore. So it's a really great place for people to come back and do a refresher, and allows them to take control again. And oftentimes that comes along with a lot of these self-care processes, like planning ahead, preparing your food, and making sure you're eating enough vegetables, making sure you're eating fresh prepared foods. And what that gives people is a sense of control back in their life that really can manage their stress. It really can give them the freedom to feel like they know what to do to improve their health. And then in addition to those, we have lots of mindfulness techniques that are used to help de-stress before eating to improve digestion. And digestion alone does cause so many of the health issues that I see, from anything related to IBS as well as acid reflux are two of the most common things that people go through. And of course, those are made worse by stress and stressful situations. So incorporating both mindfulness, stress reduction, and healthy eating allows people to really start to feel better very quickly, which has been lovely to see.
That's great. I love that, the mindfulness part of preparing healthy food. Hadn't thought about that as being really important. I'm one of those that eats at my desk way too often.
We need to work on that.
I'll give you some breathing exercises to do first.
Good, thank you. Now, Alex, how does someone figure out where to start? If this is all brand new to them, what would you recommend?
Well, I think the first step is that exploration, so getting excited about wanting to try something new. A lot of the first steps are yoga studios, usually with like beginners yoga classes, things like that branch off into other community spaces. Like if you know that this same space holds a nutrition class, then you kind of barrel rolls it into more exciting things to do. So I think taking the first step is finding a place where you're comfortable and just jumping right in.
That's a really good point, finding some place that you're comfortable. I'm not going to name the village, but I live close by this yoga studio, and the big cars, the big metal that are in that driveway are absolutely intimidating. So when I needed a new yoga studio recently because my location changed, I actually went in and talked to the owner of the studio in advance, and she was very willing to do that to help me feel more comfortable before I started there. So I think that's great that you recommend that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Lauren, we want to talk a little bit about growth in these practices on the Cape. Oh, I'm sorry, Mazie. Wanted to talk a little bit about how much these various modalities have grown here on the Cape.
Sure. The Cape is a hotspot right now of growth, I think. I'm new to the Cape since 2016, and so actually, Lauren, I mean, you've got a better, I think, insight to the growth here on the Cape. What do you think? She's our senior. She's the senior practitioner of the three of us.
I don't know. Well, the availability of these classes has really become incredibly active. So from the last 10 years or so, and you could probably attest to this as well, you'd see a couple yoga studios. And now our entire Facebook feeds are filled with different types of meditations and different types of yoga classes. More and more are popping up every day, and people love it. And that's why they keep creating more classes, more trainings, and more availabilities for each of these, because they create a class and people are showing up, and they'll just continue to do that until there's no more room. But the nice thing is that there's always something new to try. So if you say, oh, you know what, this was fun for a while, I think I'm going to move on, there's so many really wonderful options for people to consider something new.
That sounds great. Earlier we were chatting about some statistics. I think it was from the American Psychological Association about the percentage of people who have reported stress.
Yes, these statistics are really shocking. So this study showed that over 75% of people in the U.S. were having some sort of physical or psychological stress-related issue. And that is a lot of people.
3/4. That's amazing.
Yes, and the cost of treating these issues, these stress-related health issues, is over $300 billion in estimated cost. And that can be cost to employers for treating their stresses. One of the top items that was a stressor on that study was people's jobs, and that does cost quite a bit for these businesses to cover.
Absences, etc. Right. And these alternate therapies are a great way to go, especially as you mentioned. We see so many more yoga studios in particular on the Cape, and then I know also some of the Western medical doctors are also including folks on their staff, nurse practitioners, etc., that can help with other ideas for these folks to consider to make themselves feel better.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about collaboration amongst the practitioners. Alex and I had a really interesting experience last night. I guess it just tells us how small Cape Cod is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes. Setting up the yoga studio, getting ready for a fun bar yoga fusion class. And hi, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you. And oh, you love Rose? That's your last name? And I'm going to interview you tomorrow. Such an interesting small world.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and I was able to try something that I had never tried before. I got in my car to drive in all that awful rain, and I felt pretty darn good.
Yes.
There you go.
Much more relaxed than when I walked in. But anyway, so that is basically collaboration, because you were teaching a class that wasn't in a studio that you owned.
Correct.
That's great.
So just kind of getting the name out there and learning what I love to teach, and just trying to share it with as many people as I can on the Cape, just to get people moving their bodies and becoming more mindful in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so shared workspace is another way to go versus just using somebody else's studio for a class. Can you talk a little bit about shared workspaces and how that works, and perhaps myself as someone who would take advantage of that, how that would be helpful or beneficial to me?
The really nice thing about the shared workspaces is that we not only get to meet more practitioners like us, and by the way, they've been wonderful. I'm not sure how many wellness practitioners you've met, but everyone I meet is just such a lovely person, and their deepest desire is really to get people healing, healthy, stress reduced, and back to the self that they want to feel like. So,
and connect. I've really noticed
a lot
amongst
of
wellness
connection.
practitioners that they're willing, based on what they learn, to connect you to the next step or what they feel would be beneficial.
Yes, there's oftentimes the practitioners will all have different classes laid out in the different shared spaces, and we not only get to see what other people are doing, but like you said, connect them with each other. We can also have spaces that feel like home, where someone can come to their spot and say, oh, what's new here? You know, what is this next class going to be? This place feels really good. It's close to my house. Look at all these wonderful classes coming in, and it allows new people with specific different types of healing, whether it be sound healing or vibrational therapy or juicing, whatever the different topic may be, in their little spaces. We're forming our own community and they're forming their community. They see each other at classes. Even if it's not a traditional yoga studio, they're kind of going to these shared spaces knowing there's going to be something creative and really lovely for them to try. And we just want them to try more things.
Right.
Really, all of us. We just want you to
love that.
take one step and just try one thing new. You're going to see why we're all so happy all the time.
Right. Well, and it's fun too, as a practitioner, to try other practitioners' classes, and that's where the collaboration really becomes fun as creative juices start flowing and you have a yoga bar fusion class, or you'll bring in a Reiki to do a little Reiki during a yoga class. And you just grow it. The energy is positive, the results are positive, and it just keeps blossoming, and it's really neat to see and be a part of.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. So I would like to close with one last question, and can you share with me, each of you, where you see the future of wellness practitioners or the industry in general in 5 years?
Oh, sure. So the National Institutes for Health have tracked a 15% growth in yoga and meditation since 2012. It's nonstop growing. I think the demand is also going to grow as a result of people not wanting to take another medication. They don't want another medication. They just want to feel better. And if that means trying a yoga class or juicing or using an energy healer or body worker, people are getting to the point, yes, I know medication's there. Yes, I know prescriptions are an option, but it doesn't feel right. Something internally is, maybe this is still hurting or that's still upset.
Sure.
So they're going to look elsewhere, and the demand is there, and like you were saying, jump right in and try it. I think when you get to a certain point of not feeling well for such a length of time, you're willing to jump in and try something.
Is that one thing you see too, or think is going to happen, Alex?
Absolutely. And we're hoping, especially from the massage therapy standpoint, that it's used as more of a modality instead of just going to mask the pain with other instances, to really get down to the root of the problem. So really connecting the mind and body so that you can tell what's really happening and why you're feeling this way, why your stomach's upset because you need to change your diet, things like that. So the overall health and wellness of your body mind connection, I think, is huge.
I agree. What about you? Where do you see this in 5 years?
I think this is a really exciting field, and all wellness practitioners feel that there are many of us coming up. Every day there's new ones coming, and yet we're still getting people interested in our own classes, and we're still growing and developing our own practices. And so the more that people start to realize that there are more things to do than just going to the doctor when it's 10 years in the making. And if they can do these little things at, sometimes these costs are really small. Some classes are 10, 15, 20, 30, $40. Some really immersive classes that really may be life-changing are a couple hundred or few $100s. A beautiful, relaxing retreat may be more, but these are special, and people are understanding that the stress relief that they feel, the healing of their bodies that they feel is keeping them at the doctor's less than they may have experienced if they had not addressed these issues early on. So the more that we are here for everyone, the more that this industry will grow. And this is a billion-dollar industry, and even the education, like wellness education, has become a big industry as well, because everyone needs more. We can all keep learning, and we can all deliver more to all of our clients and make them healthier and happier.
Right. And even here on Cape Cod, you know, education is key. You guys are great talking about the various practices that you have here on the Cape, and I really appreciate you sharing that with our audience today. Is there anything I missed or anything you all would like to share before we wrap up?
You have to, you have to stop eating lunch at your desk.
Okay, that's a good goal.
That's just step one. Step one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. Again, we have Lauren Kunkler. She's the owner of Brightly Well and a nutritionist and wellness educator. And then we have Mazie Hollenbaugh, a Lifestyle Medicine Institute graduate, as well as an experienced yoga registered teacher. And last but not least, Alex Rose, who is a holistic massage therapist. Thank you for joining us today for CapeWorks, and until next time, stay healthy.